What time is it? Good afternoon, I think. Haven't had one of these for a while for us anyways. How nice is it to get back in the gym, especially with you guys being whole? And what was the almost whole without Marcus? And then what were the points of emphasis?
It's good always to get back and have some practice days. Last time we did it after the COVID protocols, felt like we had good carryover leading into the Phoenix game. Touched on some specifics with Charlotte, of course. We'll walk through tomorrow as well, but wanted to get a head start on that. And then Rob, obviously, and Marcus out. So not having those guys back, they'll hopefully join us soon, but still good to get a group out here, get some of the guys, some extra minute guys, some run. And like I said, touch on some Charlotte specifics.
It looked like Aaron was in street clothes too. Did he go today?
No, he rolled his ankle last night in the game. About 5-6 minutes left, finished the game, but it's pretty swollen, and monitor him, see how he is tomorrow.
And then for Rob, exciting reason he wasn't there. Does he plan to play tomorrow?
Yeah, we're expecting him back, but it's really on this time frame. He obviously wasn't here today, but hopeful to have him back. And like I said, it's more on this time frame than anything, but he's communicated that he'd like to play.
And then just finally for me, how difficult were those COVID protocol times? I mean, not being able to get together as a big group, and how does that affect what you're able to do in the workflow and all of that?
Yeah, it wasn't beneficial at all as far as getting these days in the things we needed to. Basically, it limited our group meetings. So it was a lot of on-court film sessions where we had to spread out there. And that was basically our practice, was watching extra amount of film. The one benefit that we did find was the individual one-on-one sessions that we carried over, but there's no duplicate to getting on the court and actually walking through certain things. Getting the guys that haven't played heavy minutes some extra run in. And so those things are all beneficial, keep us sharp, keep us ready. And then instead of having a walk-through shoot around where we can't have any contact, you actually get to walk through some of Charlotte's sets and watch some film on them and get an extra day of preparation.
When was the last time you guys were all together in the gym at once?
I want to say a practice, maybe one after the Phoenix game. I mean, that's when they let us back in initially. And then from there, the games have been going on. Obviously, we had some 3 and 4 days and back-to-backs with travel days. So I haven't had a lot of time, honestly. Just a lot of individual sessions, a lot of individual work.
Thank you.
Do you have any sense on Marcus when he might be back, or is it just a matter of still waiting for those negative tests or time period? Or?
Yeah, hopefully soon, but we're waiting on the negative tests. Same thing. No new information as far as that. When he gets the 2 negatives, he'll obviously have to get back to some reconditioning, obviously, but still have to wait on that protocol, the basic -2 test.
How much do you anticipate or even want to have input over these next few weeks as Brad's looking at ways to maybe upgrade or alter this roster? How much do you want to be kind of involved in even the discussion?
Yeah, I'm sure he's having much more than we talk about, but we are talking daily about any news that comes up. But at the same time, his phone is ringing off the hook, and vice versa. And so you're not going to obviously talk about everything that teams talk about. Some things that aren't realistic, but anything that's starting to, possibly have an impact. Obviously, we'll talk about it and run through some things and where we're at overall and what we'd like to improve on. And so those are discussions we have daily, but he's taken, he took probably 10 phone calls after our game last night. And so those things we don't always talk about, nothing realistic.
He said in the past, like his first year here, obviously came right from college, didn't have really the wealth of knowledge of the NBA, didn't know people around the NBA. Yeah. How much do you think you can maybe be an asset as somebody who's really just been around the game for so long and knows players so well and knows people so well?
Yeah, it's a benefit, been around a lot of organizations as a player and coach, and so have a lot of relationships as far as that and knowledge of personnel in general. Whether we were working with guys pre-draft years ago or, I've always had touched somebody, have hands on somebody or have knowledge of them. And so that's a benefit for sure from my end, but Brad's got that covered as well. He's been around long enough now to form those relationships, and it's in a different capacity now. But I think we all know what we need and know the lay of the land of the league and personnel pretty well
now. Last year when guys were coming back from COVID, Jason in particular just really struggled with the symptoms and getting back into condition. How would you say guys are recovering this time around? It seems that they're going through shorter periods of recovery.
Yeah, and I think that's based on the severity of, symptoms with, whether it was regular COVID, Delta, and then Omicron, which is a little bit different. Guys have been less symptomatic and recovered quicker. So I think that obviously has a huge part to play in it, as well as the knowledge of Corona in general over the past few years, where guys were out like mandatory 10 and had a lot more symptoms. So they had the rest of time. Now symptoms aren't the same. Some guys obviously wouldn't even have known unless it was close contact or we were testing as much as we were. So guys can be out 5 days and the conditioning aspect isn't going to be as bad, obviously. And if the symptoms aren't that bad, you're not dealing with as much coming back.
By the end of last season, Aaron was playing pretty consistent minutes. Obviously this year, those minutes haven't been as consistent. What do you think the journey has been for him to try to kind of earn those rotation minutes? And what has he been like behind the scenes while working toward that?
Yeah, the work never stops with those guys. They've been very consistent with that and going about their business very professionally. And as far as the inconsistency with minutes, it's, I talked about it last night. I don't love to overrun the veterans and not play the young guys because that's a huge part of their development. Honestly, it's who's performing the best at the time. And I think Josh has been the most consistent off the bench as far as our wings. And so, sometimes we've gone with Romeo and he had a solid stint before he got injured. And Aaron was playing a little bit before, the COVID sat him down as well. So we've been flipping back and forth a little bit as far as that due to guys being in and out. And at some point, we honestly look at who we want to give a stint to and give them a consistent run. And Aaron's in that phase right now. And so, unfortunately, he rolled his ankle. Hopefully, he's good to go tomorrow. But the energy and the intensity and stuff that he brings naturally, I talked about last night, he's going to bring that every night. The shot making and defense, that's the added bonus. But we know he's going to bring one thing, and that's a spark to us. And at times, we're lacking that. That's what we were looking for in the Indiana game. And last night, and he brought it.
Thanks.
With Josh, it just seems he's maybe a little more comfortable right now compared to his past few stops. I guess, is there maybe something a little different you see from him here compared to maybe Philly?
It's a different role for sure. Starter versus coming off the bench. This is the first time in his career he's come off the bench, only. When I had him in Philadelphia, he was starting with us, and most of the year in Dallas until I think the playoffs. And obviously in Miami, he was mainly a starter. So it's a different role, and not being, I guess, the fourth or fifth option out there. When he comes in, we're asking him to do more, and he's been a really steadying factor for us. Solid veteran overall, but to your point, his comfort level is different. I think when he's playing with certain guys and not with the starting unit, he's getting more touches and being able to, impact the game in more ways. The defense and the things he does as far as that are always going to be there, whether he's starting or coming off the bench. But just having the ball in your hands, getting a little bit more of a rhythm, I think this is the first time he's been in that bench role, and that might be contributing to that.
Presented by your New England Ford dealers. Built for America. Built Ford proud.